This is great. Alfred Brendel. It's the Trout Quintet. Actually, Alfred Brendel was quite important for me. I studied piano before, and his conception of sounds is really important. This is something that I think it takes a long time to understand. For a long time I used to see in interviews and documentaries people talking about sounds and even how an orchestra can have different sounds, and I was not sure what they were talking about, but Alfred Brendel made me realize, because it's not only about your interpretation, not only about articulation or rhythm or phrasing. All of that must be contained within your conception of sound for a particular piece.
Miguel Sepúlveda is one of the most gifted people I've met lately, and embodies for me the ideal type of a modern conductor.
He's got a natural way of communicating and feeling the orchestra.
Miguel has a very bright and positive musical future as a conductor.
Claudio Abbado also is great. His recordings in Lucerne, the Mahler symphonies, the energy in the room is just spectacular. He was great. And he gave a lot of freedom to the musicians, and you can feel that in the recordings. So this is the school I went to. We would have the Lisbon Metropolitan Orchestra, the professional orchestra here, and then it was sort of like an academy. The musicians in the orchestra would teach the students, and then many years later, eventually, some of those students would become part of the orchestra. When I came to study here initially, I was studying piano. My very first years in the school were very, very scary because I started studying music very late. It was the last 3 years of school, normal school, and also music school, music lessons. And so during the breaks, the orchestra would be rehearsing, the professional orchestra, and also the student orchestra where the conducting lessons happened. So it was in that environment really of normal lessons, but then in the breaks, going to watch the rehearsals of the orchestra, and then becoming obsessed with this figure of the conductor, that I really became in love with music, and that was really a blessing to me, because then that conductor turned out to be my teacher. He was a conducting teacher here, and so I eventually asked him to have lessons, and that's how it started.
Miguel, como está? Miguel, está tudo bem, o que é que está a fazer aqui?
This is my first conducting teacher,
Yes.
from whom I learned 99%, and then the other 1% with orchestras. I think that was it.
Only 1%, are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
J'ai pu constater petit à petit la conscience s'éveiller chez Miguel de ce que signifiait véritablement la direction d'orchestre, ce qu'était la fonction d'un chef d'orchestre. Et j'ai vu Miguel passer d'un état de précipitation dans l'apprentissage de cette discipline à une grande sagesse, ayant conscience du niveau d'exigence de cette fonction.
We had a student orchestra, and we were quite lucky that they would have regular concerts, and we would be able, as conducting students, to conduct those concerts. It's really the moments with the orchestra that you get to learn how to drive the car, sort of. And it's also, it needs a lot of humility, because you're learning in front of everybody. All of your mistakes are happening in front of the crowd. What used to happen is we used to come here really, really early, and we needed to get the rooms to practice. There were not much rooms, so there was always fighting to get the room. Thank you. To get the room to practice. And we have a great view of the river, so it was always nice to practice there. I'll show you. This is the best room because of the view. Everyone used to fight for this room. So the way we learn conducting here is quite crazy. Basically what would happen is the teacher we would be in a room like this. He would be sat in a table, and one student would go to the front, And let's say we were doing Beethoven 3, and he would go to the front and conduct no orchestra, no recording, complete silence, and he would imagine he was conducting an orchestra.
Donc une direction complètement en silence qui oblige à une extrême rigueur d'audition intérieure de la partition. Ça demande un effort très très conséquent de préparation, de connaissance de l'œuvre.
A filmmaker reads a book and then creates a mental image of how that book should be in film form. And I think that's really what a conductor, and basically every musician does, is look at a score, and the better your sound image of how that score would be, the most detailed it is, the better equipped you are to go in front of an orchestra and share your view of how that work should be and take in the proposals of the orchestra of how they think that work should be.
Je dois dire que tout au long de cet apprentissage, il a vraiment fait preuve d'une grande rigueur, d'une grande discipline, et puis qui s'est confirmé par la suite au niveau international, vraiment tout l'étendue de ses capacités, de son talent, ses qualités de musicien, de communication et de sérieux dans l'abordage de son métier.
Eu conheço o Miguel já há alguns anos, primeiro como sendo um aluno aqui da academia, e aquilo que eu constato é que o Miguel é um artista em pleno e constante crescimento, com uma enorme e saudável ambição.
You know, I do like the old generation of conductors. Like, I love Carlos Kleiber and Svetlanov, very different, and even Karajan and all those. But I like them because of their music, not all the rest, all the personality, aura, and all of that is noise to me. It's nice to come here, isn't it? This is actually quite near my home. I'm very, very lucky to live in Lisbon and travel for work, because it means when I'm studying at home, I can stop for a few minutes and come to a place like this, which there are many in Lisbon, and just relax a little bit and enjoy. After my bachelor's, going to the UK was the complete opposite of what I had before. In Lisbon, and we had loads of time to look at the scores. We would have like a whole month before the rehearsals with an orchestra to look at a concert program. And that was great, to go deep into each score. But then going to the UK to do my master's at the RNCM, we had to do like a whole symphony in a day, and then the next day another one, and then the next day another one. It was just go, go, go. And to learn that quickness on my feet was very, very important.
And Miguel, from start to finish in his time at the Royal Northern Intermediate, was just an outstanding student. Always well prepared. His musical instincts were strong, full of personality, very cultured.
I think if I was to say the one thing that impressed me most about Miguel, it's the fact that he is, on the one hand, very driven and very, very ambitious, but on the other, he's a very nice, humble man. There's no arrogance in any of his work on or off the podium, and that means that orchestral musicians just like him and really want to play well for him.
I think the thing I most like about conducting is the connection with the orchestra and with the score. So, I mean, all the study that we do before with the score, like a character, I think, like an actor in a character, of just asking it what it is and letting the personality of the score seep into you, and then having that inside you as best as possible, hopefully, going to work with an orchestra and the physical contact with an orchestra. All of that personality of the score that can't really be translated into words. That's what I love about conducting, is as much as possible trying to show with your personality, with your hands, those little details that can't be really described in another way.
Music flows through him. He's on the podium for the right reasons. Miguel is a natural, and he is a sincere musician.
What impressed me the most was his ability to create one line over the whole piece. And details like articulation, dynamics, phrasing, unified without the need of many words.
He showed lots of sensitivity for the working process, and I think that's very important for the orchestra.
Not every conductor evokes natural desire in musicians to make music together. Miguel does, and this is so great to observe.
Miguels Ausstrahlung, seine Gedanken zur musikalischen Umsetzung der Stücke und seine Fähigkeit, dies auch mit einer klaren Zeichengebung verständlich rüberzubringen, machte die Probenarbeit zu einer wahren Freude.
Svetlanov, Rachmaninoff too. Actually, most of his Rachmaninoff recordings in Tchaikovsky as well are very good, I think. Obviously it's dated, you would say, but Svetlanov, I'm most impressed, I think, with his technique. There's actually a video of him conducting Tchaikovsky 6 at the beginning. If you turn off the sounds, it's very, very impressive. You can see the sounds in the air, and the sort of geography of his beats is incredible. You know, sometimes classical music is sold on this idea that everything is super busy in social media, and that people are going from one place to the other and work, and they go to the concert hall to relax and sort of escape reality. But I understand that, but I don't agree with it so much. I think the big discovery for the listener and for me when I was discovering all this music is understanding that this music is about me, and that music is about life. How come a composer 100 years ago composed something that's about me? So actually, we don't go there to escape. We go there to live life even more intensely. And that's something I really believe in. One quote that was important to me that I discovered in a documentary by Simon Rattle about his years in Berlin, and how when he was leaving there, he would come home and his kids will call him dad, and that would put things into perspective, make him remember that all that crazy life, and the life of a conductor is quite crazy, that music is about life, not the other way around. That's what music is about. It can be overwhelming, of course, when you feel like the train is moving too fast and everything is happening at the same time, but I'm very grateful about everything that's been happening since I left the UK. The 2 assistantships in the Dresden Philharmonic, the fellowship in Los Angeles with Dudamel, getting signed by Ascona, as all the debuts coming up. It is a lot, but at the same time, the good thing about music is that what's important is that in 10 years' time, I conduct those bars in Beethoven better than I'm doing now, and those bars in that transition in Brahms, and that corner in Tchaikovsky, and you know, all the rest of it. So behind all the noise, that's what matters.